Hello everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're doing a relaxing and juicy stretching video for your low back and your hips. So this is primarily good for when you are just tight in your low back. You know, you've been lifting a lot, you just get really tight back there, or even a relaxing stretch before bed. Okay, really important and good to take care of your low back and your hips. You don't want any sort of SI joint problems or any sort of stiffness back there at all. So we're gonna work on that today. I want you to start in a wide stance forward fold. So if you're using a mat, then feet to the outsides, otherwise just wider than hip distance apart. Okay, so we're gonna take kind of a wide hamstring stretch here, sway those hips side to side. Just let your lower back hang. Because I'm a little more flexible in my hamstrings and my hands are on the floor, this is targeting my hamstrings a little more than my low back. And I want the focus to be in your low back. So if you are flexible enough to take your hands on the floor, then cross them and hold opposite elbows. That allows me to put a little more stretch, a little more pull in the lower spine here. So a few little bend and presses just to open up the backs of those upper hamstrings, maybe round that pelvis and posterior spine, or lower spine just a little bit. And up, one more. And we're gonna alternate between this wide forward fold and a nice deep squat. So hands on the floor, drop your hips, knees open. You're trying to get to a lot of flexion here in those hips. If this bothers your knees, just don't go quite as deep. And we're gonna alternate. So all the way up to that wide forward fold and drop in your hips. If you can use your elbows here a little bit to press your knees open, even better for those hip sockets. Two more, all the way up. And drop. You can always open your feet or your toes a little wider. That's a little more comfortable for your hip joints. Totally fine with me. Last one, all the way up. And going through that squat position, we're gonna walk out to a high plank. Okay, so just get centered here. Just a nice elongating breath through the spine and then drop your knees so you're on all fours. Shoulders stacked right over those wrists. We're gonna just start with a very simple cat-cow, so chin to chest, rounding through that upper spine as much as you can, tuck your chin, and then arch. Really lift your gaze, push your belly button forward, try to stretch your abdominal wall here, send your tailbone all the way up to the sky. A few more. Rounding in, I always underestimate the value of a good cat-cow stretch. It is so healthy for your spine. Be in that flexion and extension like that. Again, round, spread your shoulder blades apart, push your hands into the floor. And then exhale, really allow your back to arch, your belly to hang forward, your chin and your gaze to lift. This time, open your knees just a little bit, sink those hips back. Give yourself a nice little child's pose here. I like a little sway side to side. That massages my hip flexors, which feels really nice. Kind of keeping that cat-cow undulation in mind. Lift with a rounded spine. I crawl my hands forward a little bit and then unfurl your spine to a little up dog. Find a nice stretch here. Be sure not to sink into your shoulders. And then engaging your abdominals, lift up. Begin to round again, take those feet together and the knees apart a little bit, sink back. I want you to have that feeling of length here in your low back. Press, press, press. Again, round spine, chin to chest. Coming all the way forward, unfurling the spine. Lift the gaze and stretch here. So even though my spine isn't particularly archy and loose, I feel this more in my abs than my back, and that might be you too. And I think there's a lot of value in stretching your abdominals. We want really strong abs, but they also need to be flexible. Lift through those abs into a nice neutral spine, feet together, knees apart. Last time, so just 3 times all the way through. Really round your spine here, stretch, 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 all the way up and through. Keep that belly button in, protecting your low back, and then press your hips and your thighs forward, uncurling your spine. Okay, so we're gonna hang out in child's pose and we're gonna take a little oppositional stretch here. So sink your hips back and then cross or walk your hands towards one side. So I'm gonna start on the right side. Both hands to the right. And then I'm gonna sink my hip to the left. So I'm getting a little oppositional stretch here on that left side. I'm gonna grab my front arm. So my right hand grabs my left wrist. I'm gonna pull out and sink away through my left hip. Ugh. This is so much good stretch from the top of your pelvis all the way up your back, through your lat, through your armpit. Really pull and sink that hip away. Good old big deep breath there. Release, center your pelvis. Walk your hands to the other side. Sink your hips oppositionally, this time over the right hip. So I already feel that through the lat. It's awesome. And then grab the right wrist, pull it out, sink those hips away in opposition, pull with your left arm, and sink. So you want to make sure you're not too flat here. I like a little bit open, almost like you're going to look underneath your arm. That's what gives that whole side back stretch a lot of good length. Quality deep breath there. Release the hands, walk it forward, and roll it up. So we're just gonna slide the legs through. We have a little seated forward fold here, rounding the back to start. Walk your hands down your legs and hold. So this is gonna target your spine a little more than your hamstrings. If you're super tight in your hamstrings, that's maybe where you're gonna feel it anyway. Hands behind the head, a little chin tuck to the chest. Be really gentle here. Some people feel this as nerves a little bit down those spinal extensors, so be careful. I think it feels awesome though. And roll it up. So single leg spinal twist. We're gonna take one leg over, prop that elbow against the thigh, and then take a nice little twist. I like to really utilize this other arm to press and lift up and over, almost like I'm lifting and then twisting. Very simple. I'm sure everyone has done this. Very quality. Sometimes I think what's interesting about the spinal stretches, it's not as muscular as you would want it to be. At least I am so used to like main muscles feeling super stretchy. So when it's in my spine, it's just kind of more of a nuanced feeling. So don't feel like you have to just go crazy in that position. Less is more. And then open that knee and that thigh a little bit so your sole of your foot is just into the opposite knee. And you're gonna take the opposite arm over for another little hamstring stretch. Now, if your hips are super square, it's just gonna feel like a hamstring stretch. I actually like to open this hip back a little bit and then stretch over, because that's where you get that main really big back muscle involved. And I don't care who you are, but that feels good. Ugh, feels so good. So really breathe into that. I'm pulling the bent leg hip back as I reach forward with that opposite arm to the foot. And you can have a neutral foot here, of course. Big breath here. This is quite a large muscle, so allow it some time to relax. I feel this kind of like down into the back of my pelvis too. I love it. And roll it up. If I was stretching on my own, I'd probably stay there a little longer. So you're welcome to do that. Other side, crisscross, elbow to that outer thigh. And I see this so much. That's not doing nothing for you. So lift up, push in your opposite arm, long spine, then twist. You're always trying to like anti-gravity your spinal column, right? You don't want those discs smashed in there. Lift it up, twist. I program so often just hanging from the bar, even for people that don't do like strict strength stuff, which they should be, gymnastic-y kind of stuff, because it tractions the spine so well. Really, really good for a healthy back. And then open that knee. I open the hip just a little bit, boop, and then opposite arm to opposite leg for that stretch. So you can experiment what you like better. Square just feels like a hamstring stretch to me. Opened hip and a little opening towards this front arm. Oh, it's good. That is a good stretch. It's so hard not to overuse your low back, even for people that aren't athletes, that don't work out. Lower back problems are so common. So in addition to obviously strengthening that lumbopelvic hip complex, you want to stay flexible. Staying and on top of your stretches is so important. All right, so release that. We're gonna come all the way down on the floor now. Oh, roll through your spine, hug your knees to your chest. That should just feel wonderful. Sometimes I get a little tailbone pop here. Comment below if you're a tailbone popper. It is like heaven on earth. Ready? Let's see if we can get it. No, not today. Sometimes if I just let my knees fall over, my sacrum, my tailbone will be like, bam! Feels so nice. So squeeze your knees and then open them apart a little bit. Hug your knees into your armpits. I hope I'm not giving you like a bad angle here. Take this hair clip out. And then if you want to reach for your feet for a little happy baby. So there's a few ways to do this. You can grab your arches, the insides of your toes, or you can grab outside of your foot too. I kind of feel like I'm doing a squat on the ceiling when I do this. So pull, and then I like a little bit of an arch in my back to get a little more inner thigh. Try to let those hips relax. You can rock a little bit side to side. This is obviously super good for your squat mobility. Nice flat back here. Lots of flexion in that hip crease. So good stretch for that. All right, you guys, one final spinal twist, and we're done here. So I'm gonna cross my right leg over my left, cross-legged position, and then tip over towards the leg that's crossed. So this is a pretty large amount of flexion. If you get those knees all the way down, try to square your shoulders off to the ceiling. Ugh. And just relax. So if you're on your own, maybe you want to chill here for a while. I'm not going to stay for too long. I'm going to give you a few modifications. If that's too much on your spine, just uncross your legs. You can also take a leg out for a little more IT band and hamstring stretch. Reaching actively through this opposite arm helps me to square off my shoulders quite a bit. Nice big breath into that spine. Always think about using your abs to come back up. It will help protect your back. Uncross your legs, switch sides. Last thing, folks. All the way over. I'm going to roll over my mic pack here. And down. Ooh, side's a little tighter. Big twist. If that's too much twist, uncross. Or if you want to progress to a little bit of a hamstring IT band option, I think that's less twist on the spine, but it just feels good. Just feels nice. You want to feel nice when you're stretching, especially if you don't usually take the time to stretch. Build some positive feelings around stretching. Have a cup of tea at night. No, I just do these after my workout. So wherever you are when you're stretching, try to create a habit or a pleasant scenario around it so that you're not like, God, I'm not flexible. I hate stretching. That's so common to feel. All right, you guys, that's it. Roll it up. I hope your back and your hips feel so relaxed and so good right now, and we'll see you next time for another video. Bye.